welcome back to my channel. My name is Nkechi, and thank you so much for all the shares, all the likes, all the messages. It is really appreciated. I know that a lot of you are waiting to hear my story and hear how it has happened over the past few years. So without further ado, let's get into it, shall we? All right. I have had 3 miscarriages, like you all know, and it happened over a period of few years. Today we will talk about my first miscarriage, which happened in 2016 at about 3 months. So I, got pregnant and was very happy. Everyone was happy. My friends, my family was really happy. We're all looking forward to, just having a new addition to the family. And yeah, I was in school and I was working full time. And I was pregnant and I was happy. So along the line, first month, second month, and third month, things are getting a little bit intense. I went for my first ultrasound. The doctor sent me for my first ultrasound, and I was told that it was too early. There was no heartbeat. So to come back another time, that it was probably because it was too early, and all of that fun stuff that comes with no heartbeat the first time. And I went about my day, still being positive that yes, they said it's too early, it happens. I did my research and I was not worried. But then I went for another ultrasound, and again it was just, they're still telling me there's no heartbeat. So I was confused at that point, and I was so worried, like, what's going on? I talked to my doctor and he booked me for another ultrasound. But I didn't make it to the third ultrasound because along the line, unfortunately, I started bleeding. I was supporting at first. I went to emergency and I was told that, yeah, it's fine. It's just early spotting. There's no big deal. They checked my HCG hormone level. It was okay. The doctor wasn't worried. So I was asked to go back home. I went back home, still carried on with my life, pregnancy symptoms and all of that. And I started bleeding again. The bleeding stopped at some point, I started bleeding again. I went to emergency this time. The same story. Don't worry, it happens. Everything is going fine. So I went back home, And then the bleeding stopped at some point, but I was just not feeling right, I was happy, but a part of me was worried at the same time. And then I woke up one morning. This time the bleeding was a lot. So again, I was worried, went back to the emergency. And the doctor said that they were going to do some blood work to check my HCG hormone level and to make sure that all is well. They did their thing, did the blood work, but this time I was told that my HCG level is dropping. Whew. Okay. Now I did not know what to say, what to do, what to expect. And then I asked the doctor what's going on, and I was given the shocking news that I might move on to miscarry. And I remember my mom telling the doctor that this hormone level will go back up. And the doctor replied to her and said that he has never seen it in his career, but hopefully that will be the case. My mom was being very positive and whatnot. And at that point I was just devastated, worried, crying, and I went home. And I was told to let my body pass the fetus or whatever on its own. I was given the option to do the DNC or use the medication to cause, my uterus to contract and all of that. And I was told that I was having an incomplete miscarriage. And I was like, what is an incomplete miscarriage? I don't understand. The doctor said, well, you're actively having a miscarriage, but it's not like happening at once. It will take a period of time to get everything out. So you will have to, be patient for your body to do the work. So I was not sure how to deal with that, how to handle it. But I decided, what, it is all good. I will, take the medication and hopefully my body will do the work and we'll move on with our lives. And I went home, cried my eyes out. My, family was shocked. We were all shocked. I was unsure of how to handle it. I've never been through this before. And it was just too much at that point for me to deal with. So I, took the medication, did what I was instructed to do by the doctor, and just allowed my body to get rid of, basically go through the miscarriage on its own. Unfortunately, the medication did not work for me, so I did not have any contraction or anything that I was told would happen. So I just stayed there, hung on, hoping that this will pass me by as soon as possible. So eventually I started bleeding. I bled for 3 months straight. It was the worst 3 months or 4 months of my life. It was terrible. It was intense. I was confused. I was in a lot of pain because first I didn't get to see the baby. I didn't get to see the fetus. I didn't make it to the third ultrasound, so everything was just, it happened too fast. I didn't know what to expect. And so I had to accept my new reality at that point, which is basically giving my body the chance to do what it is supposed to do. But in my case, it took a long time and the waiting period was just too long for me. And there was nothing I could do about it. I did not want to have the evacuation done, so I just had to wait for my body to do the job. So it took a period of, 3 months of, intense bleeding, passing cloth and, passing all the, leftover of conceptions and all of that. I was traumatized. I was bitter. I was filled with anger. I asked God so many questions. I did not know where or how I went wrong, what I did wrong. I blamed myself. I was bitter, really, really, really bitter. And my friends and family tried their best to support me. They all did their best, but I was lost. I was confused. My body was going through a lot, so I could not really process any support that was being given to me, any love or care that was being thrown my way. I accepted it, but internally, emotionally, physically, I was going through a lot, so I could not really process it. Yes, I did mask a lot of the pain, but I became very bitter. I became numb. I think numb was the word that resonated with me for a very long time. And yeah, it was a long process that I had to deal with. Yeah, that happened in 2016, and after that I sort of recovered. I would say you never recover from miscarriage, but you learn to live with it. Just like how you would have a wound, a scar, you learn to live with it. That was what I did. I moved on from it, but it was still a big part of my life. I became very bitter. I could not stand seeing pregnant women. I could not stand seeing babies. It just irritate me. I became numb in general. I could not feel empathy. I could not feel sorry for anybody. If you tell me I lost my mom or dad or my loved ones or whatsoever, if something happened to you, I would not feel sorry. I would just be like, oh, okay. For me, it was one of those things that happened. I could not empathize with anybody or anything. It was just, it created this huge vacuum in my life that I could not handle, and I was trying to turn into someone else. I became very bitter for a long time, a long period of time, and I noticed that I was changing. Emotionally, I was changing a lot. So I had to get help somehow, talk to my friends. Anything you say would trigger me, anything whatsoever. I was told a lot of things that were, you know, trigger worthy, that really, really pissed me off and triggered me. But somehow I was able to deal with it. I was able to, you know, keep myself together, being the person that I am, very playful person. I play around a lot, and it's very hard for you to tell when I am sad and when I am down. So I was able to mask my emotion as I, you know, work my way through recovery. But yeah, eventually I stopped bleeding, and you know, I had to wait for my next period cycle to start. And that's a whole other story. But yeah, that is basically how my first miscarriage went. It was brutal, filled with, you know, pain and confusion and so much emotions that was, you know, that overwhelmed me that I can't really put in words. Talking about it now makes me very sad and very emotional. But I went through that phase of my life, and it was bittersweet, very bitter, I would say, more than sweet. But I learned a lot through that time, and we are here today. So it's been a long journey that I went through and survived. So I definitely think that it is possible to recover, maybe not fully, but it is possible to move on if you have had a miscarriage or stillbirth or an incomplete miscarriage like I did at that time. But make sure you get the help that you need. Make sure you give yourself the time to grieve, give yourself the time to go through the pain. Don't rush your recovery process. I think I rushed mine and I got lost in the process. Please get help. Talk to someone, talk to your friend, your mother, whoever it is that you're close to. Talk to a therapist, someone that can help you, because it is a dark place and it can lead to, you know, a really, really ugly end if you don't get the help that you need. That being said, I hope that, you know, October being pregnancy loss and pregnancy and infant loss awareness month, I hope that I can shed more light on, you know, miscarriage and loss and all of that, and hopefully inspire and, you know, support someone out there that needs to have this talk. If you have been going through this and you've not been able to talk to somebody, maybe this video will inspire you to, you know, do that talk that you need to have with someone. Until next time, I hope that you all take care of yourself and you all stay safe. Thank you for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, and share my channel. Take care.